Vini Jr. once again struggled with Brazil against Uruguay, and he's set to return to Real Madrid, where everybody expects he's going to, put in one of the best performances that we've ever seen a player do. But what exactly is the problem in Brazil? Why does he struggle with the Selecao?
Yes, we all know Vinicius struggles with the national team, but then he's not the only one. This thing happens with every footballers. Not every, but with some footballers where they flourish in their club side and then they go to their national team. He looks like a shadow of the player. Vini, yes, you look at this Brazilian side, it's not like the 2000s, those 2002, 2000, where you had the greats, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho. Apart from Neymar currently, who we know with the injury concern, he's not really been a part of the side. How much of a quality do they really have so much like that? Yes, Rafinha is there and I'll give him his massive respect. So Vini is struggling. I know he's making so much balls because we see him play very well with the Madrid side. But then it's a different dynamics. And you know that when you play with your club side, you always have these teammates that are used to the style of play where he comes from the wings. He has less defensive duties to do. But when you see him play for Brazil, I think sometimes he tracks back. He even plays well most times. But the fact that the numbers are not gelling, people feel that he's not doing quite well. And definitely I will agree with them because a player of that quality, you have to speak with numbers. You have to get goals because people want you to score for your national team.
Don't you think that actually takes away something from the world class claims that people put out for Vinicius Jr.? The fact that he's not doing much with Brazil.
Definitely, he did, and it's also robbed him of the Ballon d'Or in a way because we saw that for that's for Rodri that won it. He had a great Euros, also a good season with Manchester City. If Vini had also done that same thing too at the Copa America, I don't think anything would have denied him because it was a close call. So it's surely going to be a dent on him because if you're not performing well in your national team, no matter how good you are with your club side, there's always going to be that question mark because every national team want to see their top player perform at the club side and also replicate that when they come to play for them. So it's going to be a big cloud over the head of Vini until he performs brilliantly for Brazil. I'm not going to say as much as Neymar because Neymar has set a big standard, but there's a little he can do. But I don't think we should write him off. We've seen late bloomers, players that come into the national team quite late. They get to win things with the national team. We saw that even when I can't forget Materazzi. If there's any player I'll talk about quite and late, he bloomed into the scene. So I'm not thinking it's all done or doomed for Vini for in Brazil. I think it's going to happen, but he has to work very hard. That comes quite early for him.
Do you think coaching could actually help Vinicius when it comes to Brazil? At club level, he has worked with legends like Zidane, currently working with Carlo Ancelotti. Do you think coaching could, help him at Brazil? Because let's be honest, Brazil haven't had a repertoire of very great coaches, at least since Felipe Scolari. It's been a while since we actually could point to a Brazilian coach who, knew his onions. So do you think if Brazil gets a good coach, Vini could, start to perform well for Brazil?
Definitely, we know there's a lot that coaching would do. We've seen that in when he plays for Madrid. We see how good he plays with Don Carlo as the manager. Even for Brazil, yes, one thing we saw that the Argentine side, as Scaloni came in, we could see the difference he made. He was not the biggest of name, but because he understood the culture, he understood how this team should play, and knew the way to assign the responsibility. We saw other players flourish. We saw a good World Cup where Enzo Fernandez was so good. Messi was doing quite well, was doing very well, was exceptional. Rodrigo De Paul. There are players that you would not even think they would do so well, but then a new manager comes in and then there is a spark to life to this player. So I think it's possible. But then for a player as big as Vinicius, it has to be on him, not just the coach.
In,
That's
in,
how big you can be as a player. You can't depend on when just you have a best manager.
in essence, he's not enough of a leader the way many players in Argentina were leaders in their own right, even though they had Messi and Scaloni.
Definitely, he's not so much of a leader. We've seen that even in Madrid, it's not like he's the captain. So I think for his national team, I think he's a leader because they look up to him. I'm not maybe not when it comes to the pitch how good he is, but then when he is in the Brazilian national team, if you look into the pitch, you look at players. There is no way you won't add Vinicius Jr. there as one of the leaders, but he has to develop it on his own. I feel for Vinicius Jr., maybe the pressure on its own is much on him because you can even see. I feel one other thing he needs to learn is his temperament. It might work well for Madrid because there are other quality players that could complement when he's over blown with emotions. But when you do it with your Brazilian side, it's sort of it won't work out that well. So I think for Vini, one thing he needs to learn, just take it calmly. It's going to happen. It might not be as exceptional as you want, but once you start banging in the numbers, it's just going to start. It's going to start up for him. So, sadly for him now, the last game they played it was Rafinha that had to take the penalty, not him. I feel sometimes some managers will still want him to still want that same player to see how they can instill that confidence back in them. But then it's a crucial game. They need to find a way to get points. So I understand. So for Vinny, he's a big player, he's a big name. He has to find it by himself. I don't think it's more of coaching thing. It's more of Vinny understanding that he needs to replicate that form with Brazil.
Okay, so one last question, Duchess. What do you think Vinicius' ceiling with Brazil is?
I think if he gets to win a Copa America, I won't say a World Cup. If that happens, then it's going to be a miracle. But if he gets to win a Copa America, maybe not win it. Also, if you can take them to a final. Firstly, take them to a final. At least we can look at and say, okay, you tried in a way. But if he doesn't do any of that, the final getting to win a Copa America, it would really be one black, I think, a black book on its own end because you can't be as exceptional as you are from that left wing. We'll see him this season. He's even having a better season than Mbappe altogether. So he should be able to do that. I feel getting a Copa America title would be it because I won't talk about Champions League. He's going to win it. That one we are sure he's going to still win it. The La Liga, he's still going to win it. He's not leaving Madrid anytime soon. So it's more of a national team. I wouldn't even say qualifying. No, my Brazil should qualify for World Cup. So the major thing for Vinicius Jr. has to be, can you win a Copa America? Because in recent of whether I would like it or not, Messi will be retiring in the next 1 or 2 years. It won't be more than 2 years. That is definite. So you have no reason. I'm not saying that Argentina does not have stars in the side, but then there is now that equality. There's this equilibrium that you have. If a team without Messi, you can do something different. So if there's no Messi again in Argentina, then Brazil has no reason to keep struggling the way we see them struggle.